Hi everyone, this is Zoe from Book Reviews with Zoe, and today's video is my December reading wrap up. So let's get into it. So let's get into the books that I read in December. So I'll start off with the book that I had started earlier in the year and needed to finish, which was Dark Rise by C.S. Patchett. I actually surprisingly enjoyed this book. I hadn't read any of their other works before this. I think it was set in, where was it set in? Like a fictional London, United Kingdom, sort of felt like it, medieval times sort of thing. From memory, because it was right at the start of December, so we're already a few days into January. So from memory, I actually really enjoyed it. I can see why people love this book and love this writer. And I know that they are attending Rare, but I'm not attending Rare, but I know they're based in Melbourne, so I know if I really wanted to get this book autographed, I could at some signing. Then the next book that I read was Shadow Kiss by Rochelle Mead, which is book 3 of the Vampire Academy. Probably 3.5 stars I'd give this. It's probably the favourite of the 3 that I've read so far, and this is where I got up to when I first read this series, so I'm looking forward to, from now on, when I pick up a Vampire Academy book, it'll be from the first time reading. So the next 3 books I read were really actually surprisingly good. The next book I read was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'd probably give this 4 stars. I absolutely flew through this book. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a very good writer. I've enjoyed Malibu Rising and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and actually really enjoyed this one. It felt like, I really did feel like it was a real band, even though they're not. And the characters were really interesting, and I actually can't wait to see the TV series or the movie, whatever version they're making. The next book I read was Gideon the Knight by Tamsin Muir. This book, I gave this 5 stars. And it was, the reason why I gave it 5 stars is this book is ridiculously hard to explain. All I got from it was necromancy and sort of beaming up to the next afterworld life, sort of like in Buddhism or Hinduism, sort of the next thingy in the world. Yep, and so it's really hard to explain this book, but it was a really good, ridiculously good ride. I laughed, I cried, and that's all I can say about this book. Is I really enjoyed it, and I'll give it 5 stars, but I can't explain why. Don't ask me for a summary. Then the next book I read was The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Broken Earth series. I gave this book 5 stars as well, and that's mainly because I absolutely love N.K. Jemisin's writing. It's a book that, this book was sort of, it's another book that was kind of hard to explain. I would describe this genre as sort of climate change fantasy, environmentalism fantasy, because there was a lot of the earth is supposed to be ending, and these glacial gate thingies and unusual weather have patterns and all these sort of things felt like what were happening in Australia right now. And it was sort of really, yeah, so it made you really, really think and just, yeah. And I think, I'm assuming environmental climate change fantasy is a genre now, because there's quite a few books about this, and I would say this is probably one of the earliest versions of it. And I sort of really enjoy it because it makes you really, really think about your current world environment. So the last two books that I read for the December and for 2022 was two ebooks. So the first one I read was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. Hopefully I remember to put an image of the book here. This book, it was enjoyable for its genre. I'll probably give it 3 stars. I felt like it was, and I know lots of people enjoy the off-campus series by Elle Kennedy. I just felt like the main character had experienced rape, but the way it was written in the book sort of felt like this was before, like, sort of a past history of the character, and so then, but you know, and so you supposedly have the consequences of it in this book, and I just felt like their emotions and I felt like there was no psychological, emotional impact on the character. There was a little bit, but it was sort of just brushed over very quickly in the book, and I thought, you know, just my opinion, but I just felt like it was a little bit like it was used as a bit of a shock value in the story rather than, I suppose, the opportunity to raise sort of questions and impacts of psychological impacts of people gone through those and the long-term effects of that on someone's life. So that was just, you know, me psychoanalyzing the book, but that was just one of my pet peeves of that book. But overall, it was okay. Yeah. The last book I read was Serenity by Diane Lane, L-A-Y-N-E, no idea. I know that they're attending Rare, so I thought I'd read it, because I'm not going to Rare, but I wanted to read some of the books by the writers that are going to Rare, just so that I could just see if I made the right decision of not going, and also if Rare ever came back to Australia, I'd know what type of books there's going to be there. So I read Serenity, which is book 1 of the Red Door series by them. This book, it was okay, probably give it 3 stars, but this book was one of those books where it needed bloody trigger warnings. There was none. No trigger warnings. It kind of like the ebook just went straight into the chapters, and there was no trigger warning page before the book started, and you definitely need it. Because there is incidents of incest in it, and other triggers in there for some people, but just the main annoyance with me was the fact that there were no trigger warnings, and why do we need books that have incest in them these days? Really? Do we need to do it Cassandra Clare again? Really? So, you know, that was my pet peeve of it. So that's, yeah. But overall, it was an enjoyable romance, but I probably won't continue the series. So, yep. So, December was actually surprisingly good month. So I read these 5 physical books plus 2 ebooks, so that's 7 books in total. And actually, the physical books that I read were actually really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. The ebooks were good, but just, yep, that's all I'm going to say. But if you got this far in this video, awesome. Or like this video, subscribe to this channel, and leave a, I don't know, leave a, I don't know, being summer, let's leave a surfboard in the comment, because it's the middle of summer and it's ridiculously hot. So I'll see you all in my next video tomorrow or the day after, which will probably be my least and favourite books of 2022. And I'll see you all later.
Living life, everyday, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.